Welcome to the auditory counterattack. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Razorforce offensive. I am your intrepid host, Razorfist, alongside the Rear Admiral.
Tactical Hobo.
Yes.
Reporting for duty, sir.
I know. We're doing fantastic, sir. Rather interesting week of news. We're going to try and have this be a slightly compressed edition because a lot of the news kind of relates to one another. There's a whole lot of election fraud, bullshit, whatever. In fact, as we're recording this episode, there is an Arizona electoral fraud press conference going on right now. Did you catch any of that?
No, I actually just got home from work a few minutes ago, so I did not get to catch most of it yet. But
it's illuminating, to say the least. I mean, some of the allegations, as many as 400,000 fraudulent or phantom voters.
And that's just in Arizona?
Yeah, addresses that go. Apparently, there were 45 people registered at the county recorder's office. They were doing shit like, oh man, some of the individual allegations just blow your mind. And mind you, they sent out teams of people. This is how concerned people are about the election and how much of an air quotes partisan issue it is. It's just Republicans that are mad, even though 30% of Democrats think the election might have been bullshit too. But, you know, whatever. And that's in liberal polls like Gallup, but we'll put that one aside for a moment. So they sent out canvassing teams to just go out into neighborhoods just to double check the votes that are on the rolls, going out to specific neighborhoods where people were registered. And so they would do this shit where, like, say you had a guy named, like, Daniel Carter or something. And so you'd have, like, Daniel Carter and birthday May 1st, 1972, right? Then you would have Daniel L. Carter, May 1st, 1972. Then you'd have Daniel Lynn Carter, May 1st, 1972. Then you'd have Daniel Carter Lynn, May 1st, 1972. And you can see what's happening here. They're repeating people on the voter rolls, basically just doing minor variations on the same name. And then to really rub it in, God, this is unbelievable. They were registering one of the most frequent fraudulent address on the Arizona voter rolls was 123 Dummy Street.
No shit.
Not even shitting you. So they went to addresses that literally there's only foundations of the building standing. There are not even any houses there anymore. There's not even any building there. People registered to empty lots. I mean, just, oh, Christ, man, the corruption. The woman, one of the women presenting at the press conference ahead of time was interviewed by Right Side Broadcasting, and her exact words were, you know, other states, as bad as it is in Pennsylvania, as bad as it is in Georgia, the truth is Arizona's been way ahead of the curve on mail-in ballots, and this has made this perhaps the single most corrupt state in the entire union for mail-in ballot, which is something I've been saying for a long time. That's how the election was stolen in 2018 for Kyrsten Sinema, who is not a legitimate senator, just as Mark Kelly is not a legitimate senator. They basically stole 2 elections for these people, and they did it both times through mail-in ballot fraud. Oh God, the percentages will absolutely blow your mind. The whole thing is just repugnant. Of course, the reason why we're talking about all this is because on the 6th, there's going to be a great big showdown about the Electoral College vote. A lot of people are kind of banking on Mike Pence. I don't necessarily trust Mike Pence. Do you trust Mike Pence on this one?
I'd like to say yes, but, you know, I'm a realist here, so yeah. I don't trust anyone, just about. Let's put it that way at this point.
Yeah, well, there's a number of things that give me pause with Mike Pence. Stop me if these bother you. But Mike Pence, a few interesting factoids about Mike Pence. First and foremost, his branch of the Trump cabinet was basically like Never Trump HQ. They kept getting all these never Trumpers over and over. And then they to their credit, they would ultimately get fired. but then he'd hire another Never Trumper to replace them, and it's widely believed that that's where most of the leaks of the Trump administration were coming from, was these Mike Pence appointees who kept popping up and hashtag Never Trump every other fucking tweet on their profiles and shit like that. So like all that stuff, that's the first one. The second one is, I don't know if you remember this, but little thing called the pussy tape.
Of course I don't remember that. What was that?
Right? So Trump was engaging in some locker room talk, and it just about sidelined his presidential ambitions in 2016. He somehow managed to turn it to his advantage in the most epic debate I've ever seen in my life. But prior to that, what a lot of people don't realize is in the immediate aftermath of that having been revealed to the public, Mike Pence was literally posturing to be the guy who replaces Donald Trump on the ticket. So there was kind of this moment there where Paul Ryan was moving away from him. Mitt Romney was moving away from him. You know, all the rhinos started to get ready to stab their daggers in Donald Trump's back. In fact, they arguably did, like just flat out stab Donald Trump in the back after that tape came out. And do you think they do that if they didn't have an alternate candidate lined up? That alternate candidate was going to be Mike Pence. He was going to be the anointed one of the rhinos in the failing GOP of George W. Bush. Like that wing of the party, he was going to be their, you know, fucking 1.21 gigawatt messiah, right? That's what Mike Pence was going to be for them. So a lot of things give me pause with him. The other thing that gives me a lot of pause is he was basically the reason that Julian Assange's asylum was rescinded so that he could be arrested by the United States. I mean, that was Pence. That wasn't some international UN conspiracy. That was straight up Mike motherfucking Pence. So I don't trust this guy any farther than I can throw him personally. And I don't, but here's the thing. It doesn't really matter. Rhinos, here's the thing about rhinos, and I think if we've noticed anything over the course of the last 15 years, it's that rhinos will bend whichever direction the wind blows. So it's honestly incumbent upon us. This is something that I've said since the beginning. This is a rare case where the court of public opinion is more legitimate and has more efficacy than the actual courts, than the Supreme Courts, than the district courts, than the appellate courts. And so if we make enough noise, if we pressure these people enough and make clear that there will be serious political consequences for them and for their party, that we are willing to blowtorch the entire party not to secure Donald Trump. This is not about Donald Trump. This is about our vote. Because how could we ever believe, like, let's say I see the light tomorrow and say, yeah, Donald Trump was total shit. I'm going to vote for rhinos the rest of my fucking life. How would I be able to even trust that, knowing that they didn't even want to double check my vote this time around? That they went to the courts, spent, $300 million of DNC donor money to try and get that shot down, just so we would not double check your vote and my vote and everyone's vote? Like, how would I vote for anyone, Rhino, Trump, or otherwise? Honestly, seeing that occur before my eyes. I mean, could you feel confident in that? Seriously, dude.
So here's the thing, man. Like, if they don't stand up on January 6th, I'm never going to vote for another Republican again. I'll say that.
It's your vote.
I mean, I will either not vote at all, or I will just write in like Constitution candidates just for the hell of it. But I'm not going to vote Republican again if they shit the bed coming up here.
Same here. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all, because this is not about. I don't give a flying fuck about Trump. Like, Trump's an old dude. Like, he was gonna get his second term or whatever. Did win his second term. Let's be fucking real here. Did win his second term, and that probably would have been it. Now, mind you, he probably could have built a little bit of a dynasty. He's a charismatic enough guy. He could have maybe anointed his son or Matt Gaetz, or you can speculate who would have been, his next upcoming person, and that may well happen regardless. But the fact is, like, he's an older dude, and he was probably going to retire not just from politics, but from public life here pretty shortly in the next 4 to 5 years. So it's like the idea that this is just a cult of personality, Heading into the second term of a president? Are you fucking shitting me? An old president? That doesn't make any fucking sense, especially in defense of an even older person, Joe Biden. So the whole thing just doesn't make any sense. It's not a cult of personality thing. I would happily throw Donald Trump over the side of the railing of the boat if it meant that I get to safeguard my vote and the efficacy of American elections from here till time immemorial. Do you agree? I think that's a bigger priority, personally, having legitimate non-third world, non-Venezuela style elections. Call me crazy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's absolutely. But yeah, I'm not gonna say nothing about throwing him over the railings because I don't need a Secret Service visit here. But no, seriously,
I think you're supposed to have an RV in downtown Nashville to get a visit from them. Actually, I don't even think you get a visit from them then. Actually, I think you can warn you. They could have been warned about you a year in advance, and they still won't investigate you. The FBI are far too busy taking fake Pissgate dossiers from John McCain to do any of that investigative journalism. So I personally, I don't know about this one. I don't think Mike Pence is going to be. Let's put it this way. Can Trump emerge victorious? Yes. In fact, I would put it at 50-50, maybe even a little more skewed towards Trump, because the political momentum is on his side and not on Biden's. Like I said, this is an interesting case where public opinion matters more than traditional institutions, because the traditional institutions are not respected and are not acknowledged to have authority at this point. People do not recognize the legitimacy of these institutions any longer. So it's kind of a weird situation where we kind of are just whoever builds a consensus here sort of gets to be president. And Biden doesn't have one. It's really odd to say about a guy who's running around calling himself president-elect, sorry. But he kind of doesn't. And by the way, did you see him I think it was today or just yesterday, calling Kamala Harris once again the president-elect?
Shocking.
I know. I'd say he knows something we don't know, but we know he's probably forgotten more than we know, or he knows, for that matter. Jesus Christ. Speaking of the fraud and some of the specific instances of it, Giuliani came out and said, just in Georgia alone, all they did was cross-reference some of the suspicious voters on the rolls in Georgia against publicly known, like publicly published obituaries. And they found, just through doing that admittedly imperfect cross-referencing procedure, they found 10,315 people that had already been located in obituaries. That is insanity. That's just... If that's 10,000, like, first off, some of the margins we're talking about in these states, 10,000 people, less than 10,000 people would flip some of these counties and states and probably flip the election for Trump. I don't think people realize how razor thin it is in most of these states, even with them adding more and more votes after Election Day. It's still, meager totals. I forget what the final total was for Joe Biden in Arizona, but it was a pathetic, would have been overturned in one audit, which is why they're fighting tooth and claw to not allow a substantive audit in Phoenix or in Maricopa.
Well, they're straight up ignoring the subpoenas, aren't they?
They've been subpoenaed.
How is that allowed?
Yes, they have been subpoenaed, and the city council is not even responding to the subpoena. Apparently, this is just optional. Apparently, responding to subpoenas is optional. I'll remember that if I'm ever litigated. Apparently, all I have to do is get fucking elected, and automatically I don't have to respond to subpoenas at that point. This is fucking fantastic. They're trying to wait out the clock, folks. Like, can anyone not see this? It's obvious that all they're trying to do is play beat the clock so that if they wait long enough, all the voting is done, everything's passed, they don't have enough time to challenge, there's not enough time in court, and then we'll get some half-assed fucking case in court after Biden is inaugurated saying, oh yeah, there were some irregularities here, but we'll work to correct it in the future, while avoiding the word fraud, circumnavigating it by 100 fucking miles. That's what we'll fucking get. And how do I know that's what we'll get? Because that's what we got with fucking Benghazi. That's what we got when Obama spied on us via the NSA. That's what we got with Fast and fucking Furious. We'll probably get some random election official under Biden who resigns from their fucking position. Somebody on a state level will fall on their sword to protect the Democratic Party and Biden and the establishment thereby. And that's the hand job we're going to get, because that's the hand job we always got up until now. The establishment has these fucking routines and rigmaroles down to a finely honed fucking science. And this is why they can only take it from you if you give it to them. This is what you have to understand. Like, you hold the political capital here. The power in this country flows from the bottom up, not the other way around. This is one of the reasons Trump was... While other people were saying, "Oh, the state races are more in doubt," I was like, I don't think you understand. If there's fraud here, Trump's the guy who's in danger, because he's the federal guy, and the power flows upward from the state level. He's actually one of the less powerful people in this situation. This is why people who thought, "Oh, we can just vote for Trump and he'll drain the swamp and whatever," guys, he's not the king of America. The power flows up. Right? He gets the sloppy seconds of power, as it were. You kept voting for rhinos and establishment whores on a state level. You didn't pay attention to your local representative and Senate and state house races, and this is where we're at. You didn't pay attention to your governor's races, and this is where we're at. You had to drain the swamp. All along, it was really incumbent upon you to drain the swamp. I said this from the moment Trump took office. If you wanted Trump to be able to effect real change, then why the fuck did you send him a bunch of rhinos in the Senate in the next 2 elections? Why did you keep fucking doing that? You know what I mean? He needed a solid majority of good, populist conservative types in the Senate, and you sent him rhinos and establishment whores. And then the few people who would have been loyal to Trump, a few of them got in there. A few of them. Tommy Tuberville came out and defended Trump after all of this and called for investigations. And now there are other people. We should probably talk about the senator now, who is stepping into the fray. Actually, we've got our first major senator who's going to, and it's the guy who beat Claire McCaskill. It's Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, who has pledged now to challenge the vote in Pennsylvania and other states. Basically, he's going to go into that electoral session on the 6th, where Trump has demanded that his people gather, just in case you were wondering if I was lying when I said the people are going to be the ones who affect change. This is why he's asking you to show up. He wants, if they're going to steal the election, he wants to make sure as many of you as possible are watching it happen, so you can have no illusions about what this political process is, about how deep the rot has set in. But he has stepped up and basically is going to challenge this. I should probably read this real quick for you guys. At least one senator has announced plans to join members of the U.S. House in objecting to the Electoral College votes. They're expected to result in a Joe Biden presidency during a joint assembly of Congress that would be, quote, messy and ultimately could leave a cloud over the Democrats' administration. The objections are being triggered by evidence of election mismanagement, my aching ass, in multiple states, including a report from state lawmakers in Pennsylvania that there were nearly 200,000 more votes than voters. I mean, I could have fucking told you that. When the Attorney General came out and said, hey, we've counted 95% of the mail-in ballots, and there's 6 million registered votes in Pennsylvania, and then 6 million registered voters, in the state of Pennsylvania, and they went on to add 1.2 million votes, which, if you crunch those numbers in your head, that's well north of 100%. After they said they had already counted 95% of the vote, okay, we could tell there was something going on there, and sure enough, 200,000 more votes than voters. And represent the fact that tens of millions of Americans by multiple polls believe that Biden won only with the help of fraud in the election. That cloud over a Biden administration would be joined with another, that Joe Biden is expected to become president while a federal criminal investigation is targeting his son, Hunter Biden. the fact that they're specifying that it's only on Hunter, we already talked about the fact that he's mentioned pretty much by name in these emails. Like, it's obvious that they're talking about Joe Biden. Quote, creating immediate practical and ethical challenges, according to a Bloomberg report. Politico reported on Wednesday that Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri had pledged to challenge the votes for Biden in Pennsylvania and possibly several other states. The Missouri Republicans' announcement guarantees that both chambers will be forced to debate the results of at least one state and vote on whether to accept Biden's victory, the report said. Politico predicted the challenge would have no bearing on the ultimate decision, but it would, quote, delay the certification of Biden's victory and force every member of the House and Senate on record on the issue. Previously, Senator-elect Tommy Tuberville of Alabama had indicated he might be willing to offer the challenge. So we pretty much got two guys at this point. Surprise, surprise, one of whom is the guy that Ann Coulter said was going to stick the knife in Trump's back, and it turned out that he was like the first guy to speak out. Well done, Ann. Way to read those fucking tea leaves, Seabiscuit. The Electoral College results are to be presented to a joint session of Congress on January 6th, and procedures allow that if a member of the House and a member of the Senate object, both houses are required to separate and debate the challenge. Dozens of House Republicans already have pledged to object, so we're automatically going to get a debate. The actual situation could be messy, the New York Times warned. Among other reasons that could develop if the members of Congress object to a state result or the individual electoral college votes from the state, or possibly even individual votes from multiple states. It's unclear whether the Senate and House would debate those all together or separately. One of the House members already committed to objecting is Representative Mo Brooks of Alabama. This election was stolen by the socialists engaging in extraordinary voter fraud and election theft measures, he said. Holy shit, get off your soapbox, brother. In my judgment, if only lawful votes by eligible American citizens were cast, Donald Trump won the Electoral College by a significant margin, and Congress's certification should reflect that. The establishment media has called the election for Joe Biden, assessing he will get 306 Electoral College votes, surpassing the 270 needed to win. Blow it out your fucking aching ass, asshole. President Trump is challenging the outcome in battleground states, and some Republican state lawmakers are moving to withhold their states' votes. The U.S. Constitution gives state legislatures the authority to select the electors to the Electoral College. If neither candidate has the 270 majority when the Electoral College, the Constitution provides that the U.S. House elects the president, with each state getting one vote. According to The Hill, Hawley explained, I cannot vote to certify the Electoral College results on January 6th without raising the fact that some states, particularly Pennsylvania, failed to follow their own state election laws. He added, and I cannot vote to certify without pointing out the unprecedented effort of megacorporations, including Facebook and Twitter, to interfere in this election in support of Joe Biden. At the very least, Congress should investigate the allegations of voter fraud and adopt measures to secure the integrity of our elections. But Congress has so far failed to act. Now, here's why I wanted to read to that point. He mentions megacorporations trying to skew it for Joe Biden. And sure enough, as soon as he came out and delivered his statement on Twitter, and it got a ton of play, obviously, it was a huge story, he put out a tweet saying, millions of voters concerned about election integrity deserve to be heard. I will object on January 6th on their behalf. And then he posted a JPEG of his form letter, right? To which the official Walmart Twitter account replied, go ahead, get your 2-hour debate. Hashtag sore loser. So, I mean, everyone lit up Walmart. They were like, what the fuck is this? Where did that come from? What is going on? Why is Walmart weighing in on a presidential election? And Josh Hawley, of course, replied to this a bunch of times. He was like, thanks, Walmart, for your insulting condescension. Now that you've insulted 75 million Americans, will you at least apologize for using slave labor? Like, holy shit! So Walmart deletes the tweet and says, the tweet published earlier was mistakenly posted by a member of our social media team. Who the fuck are you hiring for your social media team, Walmart? Like that? Honestly, I find that more insulting than the original fucking tweet. The fact that you're basically hiring fucking socialists. what the fuck is wrong with you? But then they continued, we deleted the post and have no intention of commenting on the subject of certifying the Electoral College. We apologize to Senator Hawley for his error and any confusion about our position. So, just in case you thought those decisions to remove firearms from Walmart, to cuck out to any town for gun safety, and the Giffords PAC and all the gun control pressure groups, just in case you thought those were outliers, and these guys are secretly red-pilled, and they're just cucking out for corporate politics points, yeah, that should probably disabuse you of that notion. They're hiring, like, Bernie bros to manage their social media accounts. At best, who knows if that's even an accurate verity of what occurred, but regardless, this is no red-pilled organization. This is not Americana. These guys are the Disney of fucking grocery stores, and you need to get that through your thick skull. The quicker they go under, the better for all of us, for fuck's sake. But, God, all I could think when looking at that was apparently, like, poisonous lead-painted fucking toys are not the only thing that Walmart's getting from China. They're getting fucking talking points from them, too. That's what it felt like to me. It was like fucking reciting, like, Chinese rejoinders from official state media or something. What the fuck do you think about that, man?
Dude, Walmart, I guarantee they have some Chinese connections because, like you were saying, most of the stuff used to be made in America that they sold. Now it's all from China, like 100% of it. So it doesn't surprise me at all.
Absolutely ridiculous. That didn't surprise me at all. I mean, I guess I was a little surprised by the brazenness of it. But
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect Walmart to be weighing in like that, but hopefully the guy gets fired at least. But who the hell knows? I doubt it.
Right? Who knows? Who fucking knows? Speaking of China, one of their favorite institutions, the UN, is a little pissed about Trump pardoning the Blackwater contractors from Iraq. You guys may remember that story. The 4 American soldiers who were the 4 American. They were convicted of killing Iraqi civilians in 2007 and claimed that was a violation of international law. You know, that whole situation is very controversial for a number of reasons, but he went ahead and pardoned them, which was like, that kind of came out of left field for me. Like, I didn't see that one coming. I thought, Snowden maybe, even though he doesn't deserve a pardon, fuck him and fuck his defenders. He's a fucking Chinese asset. Or fucking, what is he now?
Assange.
This week, Manning. Fucking, I'll just call him Bradley Manning. I'll misgender the motherfucker. I don't give a shit. Manning or fucking Assange or what? I figured those people would have been at the top of the list, but the fucking Blackwater contractor. Do you even remember when that Blackwater thing went down? Like, I feel like it was kind of a blip on the news screen for a minute and then kind of went away.
Back in the good old days of George W. Bush and the Iraq War.
Well, the tail end, when he was pretty much a lame duck president, basically. 2007,
like 07, right?
Yeah. 07. And he that's pretty amazing. I don't have any hard and fast opinions on that incident myself. I've never looked into it hardcore, but I found that pardon kind of interesting. One thing that's really his pardons, tell me if you agree with this. I don't know. Most of Trump's pardons so far strike me as, well, shit. If they're going to try and steal an election, and if this is going to go off, then I might as well just break all their toys on the way out. Is that kind of the vibe you're getting?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, Blackwater, man, if you remember correctly, they were hated more than anybody by the left back during the war. And in fact, Blackwater in the current name does not exist anymore. They're now called Academy, I believe.
Really?
They changed their name. Yeah, Blackwater it is not named Blackwater anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, that tends to happen when there's a really bad scandal associated with someone. They change and rebrand and little South Park. We're sorry. That whole fucking thing, that doesn't surprise me at all, actually. And before we wrap it up, I know this is a shorter edition. I wanted to keep it a little shorter because we're all kind of waiting to see what happens on the 6th. By the way, if anyone out there has the means to get out to D.C. for the 6th, I would highly recommend you go. I would highly, highly recommend that you go. And here's why. Because at a bare minimum, even if you're not able to affect change, you're going to affect change in the future. Because it's important for you to witness what's going to happen. If it's positive, if it's negative, you need to know at a bare minimum how corrupt our institutions actually are. You need to see it up close. You need to watch the machinery of establishment corruption so you can properly comprehend what we are up against and then weigh what the actual existing remedy is at your disposal. Because it is so important to understand that. And for many, many years, these people have profited in darkness, basically shutting out anyone who attempted to shine a light on their misdeeds. And here we have a prime opportunity where the true machinery of government is going to be laid bare and all of the corruption that is incumbent upon that. You would be a fool to pass that up if you have the ability to get there on the 6th, if for nothing else than the fucking scrapbook moment, so you can watch this screw job happen live or watch the public take back the brass ring. One way or another, it is going to be really important to be there if you possibly can. So I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you go. But as we wrap up here, let's wrap up on a slightly lighter note. Tactical Hobo and I are big ol' action movie fans. Right, big-ass action movie fans. And one of our favorite series is, of course, A Lethal Weapon, which, for my money, has, like, the highest mullet quotient easily of, like, any fucking action series from the 80s and 90s, for sure.
And that's saying a lot from that era.
What's up?
So that's saying a lot from that era, too.
I know. That's the era that gave us Hard Target. But anyways... Lethal Weapon, folks. Lethal fucking Weapon. And apparently Mel Gibson, my man Mel Gibson, who Hollywood finally decided to let back into the kingdom, he is apparently already talking about pissing them off again with a Passion of the Christ sequel. I don't know exactly what you could do with that sequel. If it's Jesus is back and he's pissed. Like, I don't know what you could possibly do with that, but Passion of the Christ 2, this time it's personal or something. I have no fucking idea. But, more importantly, he's talking about a Lethal Weapon sequel. A modern Lethal Weapon sequel. Now, how the fuck do you do that? Because do you think Danny Glover's going to be in the same room with this motherfucker? Like, ever?
How old is he? He's older than Joe Biden now, isn't he?
He's old. Well, he's old as shit. He's in pretty good shape, but he's old as shit. But peruse his Twitter feed sometime. Do you think he would be in the same hemisphere as Mel Gibson at this point, given some of his politics? I don't know, man.
It seems unlikely nowadays, especially because Mel Gibson was kind of on the shit list for a number of years, you know?
Yes. And specifically on the shit list for allegations of racism and sexism and whatever, right? Like, in the age of BLM, do you seriously fucking think that Danny Glover would agree to be part of that? But who knows? Maybe he will. Maybe he will. Maybe
if
they have a good
money, then maybe.
maybe they have a good personal relationship and that will overcome it. I don't know. If they do, then Danny Glover, please be in a new Predator movie, please. So, folks, but I don't know, man. What would you like to see in a Lethal Weapon sequel, bro? What did we leave it on? We got up to Lethal Weapon 4, right?
Yeah, 4, and they threw like tons of people in that one. Freaking Jet Li was in that, even, if you remember.
Really?
He was like one of the bad guys, I believe. It's been quite a while since I've seen it, actually, but yeah, he was I think he was one of the bad guys in 4, maybe.
Interesting. So,
yeah,
like, where could you go from there? Like, damn.
I don't know. They come out of retirement for some crazy reason, and
yeah,
I just don't know.
I
do it without Danny Glover, though. I mean, you know.
That's true. I don't see how you do it without Danny Glover. But yeah, I don't know. If you're gonna do it right. But it should be interesting. I dig the hell out of Lethal Weapon. Hey, Joe Pesci is still alive, so I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. All right, gang. That does it for this edition of the Razorforce Offensive. We are going to end on Lethal Fucking Weapon. Until next time, folks, we will return for a much longer, more in-depth edition next week. But for now, for the Tactical Hobo, I am Razor Fist. God fucking speed.
Razorforce.